Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So this is kind of a part 2 to the last video where we built the drawers. Initially I'd planned to put the doors and the drawers all into one video, but then I got most of the way through editing the drawers part of that video and it was already a very long video as it is. So I decided to split them apart, so we're going to have a second video here. Before we can start breaking down material to make our doors, we need to think about a few things first. So we know our door needs to fit in this space here. But I also know that I want my door to sit inside of this physical space, which means I'm going to need to use an offset or spacer strip on the outer side here. So I can't just take the same width as I have here and make my door to fit it. Because then what's going to happen is I'm going to have to remove a lot of material from the width of my door. So then what would happen is I'd end up having to remove a whole bunch of material from the width of the door, which would then make the frame that's going around the door look a lot less even. So what we want to do is we want to take into account that spacer strip that we're going to be putting in here, as well as whatever gap we want around the door. So knowing those measurements beforehand, I am going to intentionally make my door just a hair larger than that. So we'll probably end up oversizing the door by about a 16th of an inch on both the horizontal and the vertical dimensions. That way we are able to remove about a 32nd of an inch of material on all four sides in order to get the perfect fit up of the door. So real quick before we get into the video here, I just want to let you guys know that I started a Patreon page recently. So if you'd like to show your support for the channel, there will be a link in the card above as well as the description down below. I've got 3 different tier levels, each with their own set of perks and that you can enjoy. If you join the top tier, you get to be a part of a monthly design session that happens on the first Saturday of each month, as well as free access to all of my digital plans and SketchUp files for all past and present projects. So if you guys are interested, I would really appreciate it if you're willing to go check that out. But anyway, let's get right back into the video. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get them fitted up before we go through and do kind of all of our finish sanding on them. So there's 2 things we need to know before we actually want to go through and fit up our doors. First off, which door is going where? So in this case, this is going to be the right-hand door. So I know that this being the right-hand door, on the top and the bottom, I want a 16th of an inch gap between the door and the frame of the case. On the right-hand side, I need 3/16 of an inch. That'll leave enough room for our 1/8 inch spacer piece and our 16th of an inch gap between the door and the spacer piece. Then on the left-hand side, I need a 16th of an inch space in order to just have the same matching space all the way around. So knowing all that spacing that I need, I can now size the door properly, and the easiest way to do that is to just double up your measurements. So on the vertical, I know that I need an 1/8 inch total. I'm going to be using this 1/8 inch spacer block, and as I remove material from both sides, because I want to make sure I'm removing it equally, every time I set the door in there, I'll check it with this 1/8 inch spacer block, and as soon as this fits, I know that I don't need to remove any more material because I will now have a 16 inch gap on the top and the bottom. We got our spacer strips milled out. They fit up nicely. I used the shooting board to really sneak up on that fit very, very precisely. So now we have those milled out, we can start cutting our hinge mortises. So for our hinges, we're going to be using these Horton Brasses. I believe they're called box hinges or small clock hinges, something like that. They're just a 1 inch wide solid brass hinge. These ones are in the dark antique, which is my favorite. This is one of the main reasons why I like buying from Horton Brasses, but also because they're probably one of the best supplier of brass hinges. I'm going to get a little controversial here. I would say that they are better than Brusso, purely because they're less expensive and they come pre-colored. Whereas if you want your Brusso hinges to be this dark color, you have to do it yourself, which personally I've tried coloring brass in the past and it never works out nicely. So Horton Brasses is by far the best place to buy brass hinges. And so now what we need to do is we need to cut hinge mortises into our spacer pieces as well as our doors. So we're going to start with our spacer pieces because this is going to allow me to get the best kind of centering of these hinges in the area there. So we're kind of going back to square one here. I just mounted this first door because I couldn't remember how to do it, everything that I needed to do. And so I very quickly found out after going through all the effort of mounting it, this was really dumb to not check it first. But our gap is absolutely massive on this side. We've got a full 3/16 of an inch gap between our door and this middle divider panel here, and it looks absolutely horrendous. So obviously when I was fitting up the door and I did my math to figure out whatever I needed on the width, I obviously got something wrong, or I just grabbed the wrong setup blocks and it was doing everything completely wrong. I'm not particularly surprised. So all we need to do is remake our spacer piece to be a 1/4 of an inch thick. That'll take away the extra 1/8 of an inch that we have on this side so that we only have a 1/16 gap down this edge here. So I'm going to remake both of those, recut the mortises, all that kind of stuff. On the left-hand side behind me there, it's going to be very easy because we haven't drilled any holes. Whereas on this side, we're going to have to size that new spacer piece precisely the same, make sure our mortises end up in the exact same spot, because we now have holes that are drilled into our legs, and those screw holes need to be in that exact same spot. But I think I can fix it, and I think we should be fine once I get everything readjusted here. I'm not going to bother showing any of it on camera because I don't think it's really worth showing. So we got both of our doors installed now. They're looking good. They both move nice and freely. We've got a nice 16th gap on both sides. It actually took me 2 more iterations after the first one that I talked about to actually get the gap right. Because what I kept forgetting is that the gap that these hinges have is not the same size gap as the bigger hinges that I'm more used to working with, the ones that I've used on like the pie cupboard, a bunch of other projects. Those bigger hinges have a bigger gap. These smaller box hinges only have a fairly small gap. So once I figured that out, I was able to actually go in and get the gap nice and even on the sides to match everywhere else across both of our doors here. So the last part of this is we now need to add in our latch so that our door cannot just go flopping around, because right now you can see that we can actually get a negative angle on here, which means that the door is going inside of the cabinet, which we do not want it to do, because this looks really bad. It looks uneven. We also want to add a latch in there so the door can't just come swinging around. You know, if I'm moving this thing around, you know, I'm carrying it inside, doing stuff with it, I want to make sure that this door can't come swinging out so that it rips off the hinges and then I've now damaged the piece of furniture. So a latch is always a good thing, and it's something that I've only recently started adding to my pieces of furniture because I've realized how important it actually is. So the latch we're going to be using is this guy right here. It's a double barrel ball catch. So you basically have these 2 different spring-loaded areas that have a little ball in there, and then you've got this T-shaped catch there. You mount one section to the door, one section to the cabinet, and they lock together nicely when the door is closed. And the beautiful thing about these is you can use them in either direction. So in this case, we're going to be using them at 90 degrees to each other, so they'll come in and it'll catch like that. But you can also use it straight on. These ones from Lee Valley are really nice because they're actually pretty inexpensive. This set is only $4. It doesn't come with screws or anything like that, so you do have to buy screws. But for $4, you're actually getting something that has a lot of adjustability, because all you need to do to adjust the tension on these is just loosen or tighten the 2 screws that are on the top and bottom. Because again, it's a super simple mechanism, because all it is just a hollow shaft in there. So as you loosen or tighten the screw that's on the top, it takes away the amount that spring can move, and therefore the ball can move up and down. So if you want to be able to open your door pretty easily, all you have to do is just loosen that screw and it just pops together. And so I've already gone ahead and done it on the left-hand door here. I've only installed these latches once before, and that was on the tall dresser of the bedroom set I built at the beginning of the year, and I couldn't quite remember what the best process was for it. But you can see here that all we do is we just pull on the knob and everything lines up nicely. It does take a little bit of effort to actually close the door, which I kind of like, because it lets you know that the door is either left open or left closed, and you can actually kind of give it a little bit of a swing, and it does close pretty easily. But again, you can see that I've got the resistance kind of dialed in there, so it does take a little bit of effort to actually pull it open and a little bit of effort to close it. And the door, without being pulled on, is never going to... So, like usual, when I do something off camera, it works out just fine. I can open and close this door, no issue. It comes open, it closes. Whereas the one that I do on camera, I have to reef it open, and then I have to slam it closed in order to get it to close properly. My guess is that this piece that's on the door here got pulled a little bit away, so we're hitting more towards the wider T of the part that's attached to the cabinet here. So I'm going to pry this off, and we're going to just try and see if we can loosen things up a little bit. All right, problem solved. We now open and close really nicely, the same as the other door. And yeah, I'm happy with how it is. I'm really happy with how it is because this is exactly how I wanted it to work, and it works really nicely right now. It takes a little bit of pressure to just push the door in, but nothing to pop it open. And again, this is exactly what I want. I want you to be able to actually push the door. I don't want you to have to force it and hit it like we were doing before. You should just be able to lightly push it closed, but it should lock shut just like it is right now. So what the actual problem was is I had it backwards. First thing I tried is I tried moving this closer to the edge of the door because I thought the little balls on here were actually catching on the wider T section of this little piece here. But what was actually happening is this side of the barrels were hitting the outside of this brass piece here. And the only reason I noticed that is because as I was taking this off to try and do another attempt at getting it lined up properly, I noticed that there was a bunch of little scratch marks on the side here. So that's where I figured out that, okay, it's actually this being too close to the wall that I need to just slightly move it back. And as soon as I did that, now we get this nice perfect fit. And if I want it tighter or looser, all I have to do is just loosen the screws that are on here, and it actually gives us a slightly better fit. And so this actually brings me to a very good point about working with any kind of hardware, screws, whatever. A lot of people think that you only have one shot. You have to get it perfectly placed the first time. And I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of people avoid working with things like catches, hinges, drawer slides, all that kind of stuff, because you're worried about screwing up with the screw placement. And I know for me, that was exactly the thing that freaked me out for a long time before I realized that it's actually really easy to just fill the holes and redo it. Because that's exactly what I did here. It took me 3 tries to get this barrel set up attached properly. In order to do that, it just meant that I had to fill the old screw holes each time, which is a little bit annoying and tedious, but overall is not a big issue. And it's one of those things that it just comes with a little bit of practice. Now that I know what these catches specifically, they need to be further away than I think from the wall. Now I know how to actually set them up properly. So if you're at all stressed about dealing with hinges, that's one of those things. Just give it a shot, try it. And if you screw up with your hole placement, just fill the holes and try again. And so that is gonna do it for this video. In the next video, we're gonna work on building out the top, the thing that has kind of defined this project the whole way through. So as always, guys, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.